LeBron James, Rob Pelinka, Anthony Davis, and the Los Angeles Lakers are all holding internal discussions about trading Russell Westbrook. They're also interested in trading for Ben Simmons. How the hell is that even possible? Well, we're gonna get to that in just a second, but first, I'm giving away $500 to a subscriber that turns on our notifications on this channel, and an additional $500 once we get 800 more followers onto Instagram to hit 50,000 followers. Now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? To say that this year's Los Angeles Lakers season has been a bit of a disappointment would be a gigantic understatement. And at this point, anyone that believes that Rob Pelinka is the actual general manager of the Los Angeles Lakers and it's not LeBron James is a casual, in my opinion. And ultimately, there are times where LeBron James hits on his trades. I mean, trading Andrew Wiggins and Anthony Bennett for Kevin Love ended up being a great decision when he was in Cleveland. Trading Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, Lonzo Ball, and multiple future first-round picks for Anthony Davis led to a championship for the Los Angeles Lakers. But this one move, when he decided to trade Montrezl Harrell, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Kyle Kuzma for Russell Westbrook, didn't end up working out as well as we'd hope. And to be honest, at first I wanted to say that this had to do with the fact that Russell Westbrook just didn't fit in with the Los Angeles Lakers. He would have trouble shooting from three, and floor spacing would be a gigantic issue as a result of this. But to be honest, Russell Westbrook is having one of his best years from three this year, attempting 4 threes per game and converting on 32% of them, averaging almost 20 points per game to go with 8.4 assists and 8 total rebounds. Hell, even on defense, he hasn't been too much of a liability. He has a DBPM of -1.0, and you have to typically factor in the success of the entire team whenever you're factoring in DBPM, because measuring defense statistically in of itself is very difficult. But if you factor in the fact that LeBron James has been struggling to be healthy and Anthony Davis for some reason is just not playing well this season at all,
Anthony Davis had an atrocious performance,
then that's where things get a little bit more concerning. You know, in Space Jam, when the aliens come in with a basketball and steal Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, Larry Johnson, and Sean Bradley's talent? Well, in the case of Sean Bradley, they never ended up giving his talent back. You pretty much had that happen with Anthony Davis this year, because I don't think I've ever seen a player deteriorate this much over a 3-year span. During the 2019 to 2020 season, Anthony Davis shot 33% from three. Then the year after, he shot 26% from three, and now currently this year, Anthony Davis is shooting 19% from three. So it's not even Russell Westbrook that's giving us the spacing issues, it's Anthony Davis. Now, I don't know if this has to do with the brand new rules in regards to drawing a foul, so he might be less confident taking specific shots. I don't know if this is the fact that he feels like he's gonna get closed out on really quickly because Russell Westbrook had the reputation of not being able to shoot from three. But the Los Angeles Lakers are clearly searching for solutions at this point, and there's a myriad of solutions that have come up. Earlier this year, we heard of a rumor that the Los Angeles Lakers were considering the future of Frank Vogel as a head coach. This came when the Los Angeles Lakers dropped 10-11 on the season after a triple overtime loss at the Sacramento Kings, and according to Mark Stein, the disappointing record had some in the organization wondering if there should be a change on the sidelines. The Lakers have an experienced head coach in David Fizdale on the bench should they decide to fire Frank Vogel. Which, by the way, if they fire Frank Vogel and promote David Fizdale, now you for sure know who's the general manager for the Los Angeles Lakers, man. Nobody is looking at David Fizdale and saying, oh, that's the guy that's gonna lead the Lakers to an NBA championship. The only person on God's green earth that's considering that is LeBron James, dude. And that's because LeBron James and David Fizdale go all the way back to their days in Miami. I don't understand his crush with him, but it'd be a very similar situation to the Tyronn Lue situation when LeBron James won a championship with the Cleveland Cavaliers in 2016. Now it looks like Frank Vogel's no longer being scapegoated, and instead we have Russell Westbrook that's being scapegoated, which makes sense because, of course, Russell Westbrook's the brand new addition. The Lakers tried to have some sort of consistency with their championship roster when they added Avery Bradley, Rajon Rondo, and Dwight Howard back into the mix. But take a look at this report, man, because they're considering trading Russell Westbrook at this point, and the entire story doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Okay, this all starts with an Athletic article that came out yesterday. And bear in mind, I don't dig these articles from the deep depths of NBA rumorville. This article comes from Champ Charania, who is by far the most reputable source that we have in all of NBA insiders. So it starts by saying conversations are certainly heating up across the NBA, with Philadelphia's three-time All-Star Ben Simmons as the hottest name on the trade market, but an even more important storyline looms over the entire NBA season and the 2022 championship, which is the status of Brooklyn Nets All-NBA guard Kyrie Irving. Now, ultimately, what it's going to say about Kyrie Irving is the fact that there's some optimism for him returning this season. That's not what we're focused on here. What we're focused on is what this article says about Ben Simmons. It says the 76ers are ramping up their efforts to spark multi-team trade scenarios to move Ben Simmons, and a fresh pool of teams has emerged as potential destinations. The New York Knicks, Los Angeles Lakers, Minnesota Timberwolves, Portland Trail Blazers, Sacramento Kings, Indiana Pacers, and Cleveland Cavaliers are among the teams interested in Ben Simmons, sources said, although it's unclear how much traction Philadelphia truly has on the move. It then gives some background saying that Simmons has yet to play this season after reporting to the 76ers training camp and informing teammates, coaches, and front office officials that he's not mentally ready to rejoin the team. Now, this is all stuff that we have covered on our channel before, and we even covered in our video the other day on NBA players about to be traded, so I'm not going to dive in too deep about this. Now, here's the thing. The Portland Trail Blazers we've covered. It makes sense. That's something that they are gunning for. The Sacramento Kings is a team that Ben Simmons said he's interested in going to. Hell, even the Cleveland Cavaliers are included in that list. The Indiana Pacers recently said that Miles Turner, Domantas Sabonis, Karis LeVert, and I'd assume you could throw Malcolm Brogdon in there if all of those players are available for trade. So they're probably the most asset-filled team for any contending team to trade with. Now, the two teams that are a little surprising here are the New York Knicks and the Los Angeles Lakers, and since this video is about the Lakers, we're going to focus on the Lakers here. Because you don't have to be some sort of capologist. That's a word, right? Yeah, you don't have to be some salary capologist to know that in order for the Los Angeles Lakers to acquire Ben Simmons, they'd need to trade either LeBron James, yeah, right, Anthony Davis, or Russell Westbrook. And LeBron James and Anthony Davis both are on Clutch Sports, so they're best friends, and I can't imagine Anthony Davis getting traded at this point because he's the youngest player on the Lakers and he's supposed to be in his prime, but he's not, which leaves Russell Westbrook as the only possible player that could be traded in order for a Ben Simmons trade to work. Now, we're going to get into whether or not I even want this to happen and whether or not it's even plausible for it to happen, because it might surprise you. So according to Jake L. Fisher, which by the way is a fairly reputable source, we've cited him many times in the Ben Simmons drama, and he's brought us news earlier than we would have ever expected, so he's climbing up the legitimacy charts, at least in my opinion. The trio of LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook simply hasn't blended as well as the Los Angeles Lakers figures have hoped. You mean LeBron James, right? Like, no NBA fan looked at the Lakers last year and said, hey, you know what will fix this team? We should trade all of our role players and get Russell Westbrook in return. You know, I'm sure this is going to work out really well. As a matter of fact, let's reunite him with Carmelo Anthony, because that worked out wonderful as well when they were on OKC together. The only person that I could imagine looking at this situation and saying, hey, this could be a good idea, is LeBron James. And of course, the Lakers aren't going to say no to LeBron James, because before LeBron James, this team was absolutely irrelevant. We were watching the likes of Isaiah Thomas and Lonzo Ball and Julius Randle. So yeah, they're not going to say no to him, because if it wasn't for LeBron James, Rob Pelinka would be out of a job and Genie Bus would not be selling tickets to games. So as a result of them not blending as well as the Lakers have hoped, Los Angeles has held internal discussions on trade scenarios for Russell Westbrook. LeBron probably said, hey, you know who's another Clutch Sports client? Let's go ahead and get Ben Simmons. I don't think it's going to work out at all. Spacing isn't going to work out on this team whatsoever. But hey, he's represented by Rich Paul. Rich Paul's my friend from high school, so we'll make it work. Now, jokes aside, this is an offensive disaster. I mean, you put Ben Simmons on the floor with an Anthony Davis that's struggling from three and a LeBron James that is sometimes available, is sometimes not, and you can expect this team to regress a little bit until Ben Simmons actually makes a concentrated effort on improving his ability to shoot from three. I don't see this being an improvement whatsoever, and I'm sure if there's one person that understands what this is going to do to their team offensively, it'll be LeBron James. Now, another player that the Lakers are interested in that I forgot to mention is Jeremy Grant, but my issue with adding Jeremy Grant is I don't think the Lakers are struggling with scoring at all currently. Their main issues stem from the defensive end, and Ben Simmons would go ahead and solve those defensive issues, but he would also bring in a whole new bunch of offensive issues. All in all, do I think this trade is going to happen? Probably not. I mean, the only team that would really want Russell Westbrook's contract at this point is a team that is willing to take on a bunch of first-round picks and is currently going nowhere because he has 2 years and $107 million left on his contract. He's still a pretty damn good player. It's just the big three for the Los Angeles Lakers hasn't worked out yet. I don't know if the Sacramento Kings would be willing to part with like Buddy Hield and Marvin Bagley, because I've always been a proponent of teams that had more depth than teams that are more top heavy, and the Lakers currently are very, very top heavy. Or I don't know if they're just trying to add another star instead of Russell Westbrook. After all, is trading Russell Westbrook for anyone going to solve the Los Angeles Lakers problems? Is it going to solve the fact that LeBron James is aging and is now a fairly injury prone player? Is it going to solve the fact that Anthony Davis has been struggling from three? Is it going to solve the fact that all their role players are like 33 and plus except for Malik Monk and an injured Kendrick Nunn? I don't think so. What would you do to fix the Lakers? Because personally, I don't have any suggestions. Let us know in the comment section down below. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.